Hi everyone, this is Cameron Eldred. I am a doctorate in athletic training student through Indiana State University, and today we're going to be talking about my CAM Integrative Health Implementation Project that has been a semester-long project that I've been working on. The things we're going to be looking at is some data that I've collected, my reasoning for doing what I did, and a little bit of reflection. So today what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to just take you through the process of everything that I did for this CAM Integrative Health Implementation Project. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the reasoning of why I did what I did. So something that I've noticed with the location that I am currently at as graduate assistant, they've never had an athletic trainer before. So a lot of the coaches have just kind of done their own thing throughout the years. They haven't really taken into consideration a whole lot of preventative measures to keep their athletes and patients, my patients, from the patients that I work with from getting injured or anything like that. So one of the reasons I wanted to do this was injury prevention. We are at a smaller school, which means our pool for athletes is a little limited. So when we do lose somebody due to injury, it's generally a big deal. So injury prevention is going to play a big part in why I do a lot of the things that I do with my clinical sites. Another big thing for me is since they've never had an athletic trainer before, it's extremely important that I prove my worth. So being able to record all of the data that I'm collecting, showing improvements, showing injury prevention methods and things like that is going to give me the opportunity to prove that I am successful and that they made the right decision in asking for a full-time athletic trainer to be out at the clinical site. Another big reason that I'm doing this is for permanent implementation. Everything that we do as athletic trainers is because we care about our patients. So being able to permanently implement some type of a prevention method within a school, even if I am no longer there, is fantastic. This is something that's extremely important and will play into future generations of athletes. So those are some of the bigger reasons on why I chose to do the project that I chose. So the next big thing is the background on what I did. So I decided that I was going to implement hamstring stretching through the use of yoga with basketball players, basketball athletes, both female and male. Now, the literature has shown through yoga, we've been able to see increased health-related quality of life, increased flexibility, increased core stability, increased respiration vitality and overall energy, cardio and circulatory health, and so many other benefits. Now, a lot of this information came from a report that was done using PubMed. They did a comprehensive search of multiple core scientific and nursing journals and looked at 81 different studies that had to do with yoga. And they were able to determine that all of these things were of equal value. Yoga was able to show increases that were equal to or better than being physically active. Now, this would be included in physical activity since you are stretching, you're moving, you're going through motions and things like that, but in specific exercise, so going to the gym, lifting weights, things like that. So the study was able to show that all of these things are increased or are benefited from the act of yoga. There was also another study that was done that looked at 80 different subjects, both male and female, who had chronic low back pain. Every single one of them were assigned to receive yoga or some type of physical exercise, and then they did a satisfaction survey to see what everybody thought. Now, this intervention was only over a 1-week period where they did this. They did meditation, didactic and interactive sessions on different concepts of yoga, as well as practical application. And the control group, of course, practiced just physical exercise under a trained professional. And both groups were matched for time on intervention and attention. So they had the same amount of time in their activities. The data confirmed that after 7 days of residential intensive yoga-based lifestyle programs, they were all able to say that there was reduced pain-related disability and improved spinal flexibility. So as we can see, yoga plays a significant part in how some of these people really truly felt. There are also multiple articles just about the general health increases that come from yoga. Those were just two of the main ones that really stuck out for me when I was beginning to do the research into this. Now, my method of implementation, so I decided that I was going to stick with the big toe pose, downward facing dog, extended triangle, head to knee, and warrior pose, which even though that one focused more on the hip flexors, it was good for hip and joint mobility and flexibility. So I chose all of those because they focus really on the hamstrings. And that's what my project was looking at, is hamstring flexibility and its implementation and injury prevention. So I did this with the participants 3 times a week. And I looked at, as a patient-rated outcome, the disablement and the physically active scale. I gave this to every single one of the athletes on the basketball team for both boys and girls. And then I limited, if they had a score above a 20, those were the people that I used within the study. So there ended up being 5 of them. Each of them had actually had a hamstring injury within the last 3 weeks. Basketball had just started. A lot of them didn't play a fall sport. So they went from 0 to 100 immediately. And well, we all know how that goes. The clinician rated outcome measure was just the sit and reach. It was a very simple one to implement. And since I don't have a lot of flexibility in my budget, this was cost effective. So I did both of those with them. I measured every 2 weeks. So I provided the patient rated outcome as well as the clinician rated outcome every 2 weeks. So this was the data that I collected for the sit and reach. As you can see, the blue is increases, green was stagnant, and red was a decrease. So I only had one person who had a decrease. There was a little bit of stagnicity when looking at this, but there was quite a bit of increase. That alpha week was their beginning measurements. So as you can see, they all made some most of them made some pretty significant increases that really influenced their scores for the disablement and the physically active scale. So you have the alpha week, which was their original scores, and then every 2 weeks. So I put week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. It was actually over a 10-week period. That was just to help me organize my thoughts so I knew which scores belonged to which week. So as you can see, they all started within the 30s. They were all feeling some pretty significant pain by week 10 or week 5 of data gathering for this. It was significant. A lot of them had dropped by almost 50%. A lot of it was between the range of 40 and 50%. So obviously we can see that there was a big change in the way that they were personally feeling. So looking at some of the subjective feedback from some of those athletes, we were able to determine that, and even the data, we were able to determine that this was effective, that doing the hamstring stretching through the form of yoga and being able to control their bodies and their core greatly influenced their hamstring flexibility, their pain. None of them had a re-injury. One of them, we did find out later on, had some lower back issues and was pulled from the study after the 10-week period. I'm still continuing with both teams in the entirety of the teams just because the coaches have asked me to continue with it because they are seeing differences within the athletes. So the subjective feedback that I got from some of them, one of them, although it's my senior year, I'm really glad to be able to fix my body for baseball season because it's the sport I'm better at. He definitely has shown great increases, and it was fantastic for that person to be able to realize the benefits of this. You can see some of the things that they said. Another one was, I love being able to see my progress. It's awesome. The coaches love seeing their progress as well. So having that all written down on paper and being able to take it to the coaches and show them the increases definitely helped prove my worth and allowed for the coaches to realize that they needed to start to implement stretching as well as dynamic warm-ups within their sports rather than going from 0 to 100 and being cold, which is a problem that I've seen at my clinical site that we are remedying to fix right now. That's part of what this project will go towards. Another one, I had good flexibility before, but I still had some hamstring issues, so I was happy to see some progress with stretching and my pain. That person did have decent flexibility before, but again, being able to see those increases really made them happy about the progress that they were making, which was fantastic. It gave that feedback to me, made me feel good about what I was doing, that I was being successful. So the last part of this is my reflection. I didn't get to do as much data collection as I had wanted to, mostly because for the first 3 weeks, I was trying to get data collected every single week, and it just turned into some kids didn't have time or they couldn't come in. So being able to put that every 2 weeks and say, we are doing it this day, really gave the kids a steady time and place for me to be able to collect the data. It also gave me the opportunity to kind of reflect on the scores that were being presented as well. So I was able to, if I would have had to, I could make some changes to whatever stretching we were doing. If a person was experiencing pain while stretching, while doing the yoga, things like that. So it allowed me time to formulate how things needed to change if they needed to. Overall, I think this was a fantastic project. It really got me into patient-rated outcomes, clinician-rated outcomes, measuring my success, which was fantastic, just because I'm a very visual person. So being able to see the help that I'm giving to these patients was fantastic in and of itself. So overall, it was a great process. I absolutely loved it. My computer restarted on me a couple of times, so I ended up having to recollect some data. Luckily, it was usually next day, so it wasn't a horrible time. But I have a big data built sheet that actually has information for every single one of the athletes that's on the boys basketball team and girls basketball team, just because I'd like to be able to show that comprehensive data later on to the coaches to be able to prove my worth even more. But the 5 patients that I chose were the most significant in their pain, as well as who needed better change. So again, thank you for listening. I apologize for going over the 10-minute period, but there was a lot of information that I really wanted to talk about. So again, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.